Welcome back. Now, Zambia's leading opposition party says that its leaders is being denied access to some parts of the country. Now, this follows the deployment of the army to curb violence ahead of next week's elections. United Party for National Development President, that's Hakainde Hichilema, claims that he was not allowed into Zambia's eastern province. And the party spokesperson, Anthony Bwalia, joins us now to give us more clarity about what's actually happening there. Thank you for your time, Mr. Bwalia, and good morning to you from South Africa. Let's talk about this, Mr. Hichilema not being allowed access. I mean, what's really happening on the ground, especially with these elections expected next week?
Thank you very much for having us, and a very good morning to you, and a very good morning to all the citizens of Zambia in this country and all across the world, particularly in South Africa. So, look, I think it's important for us to indicate that the ruling Patriotic Front in Zambia do not have the ability to win a free and fair election in its fullest characterization. And this is why now they have resorted to the use and abuse of state institutions, resources, and personnel to instigate brutality, violence, including murder, to get in the way of opposition campaigns, especially those involving President Hakainde Hichilema, our presidential candidate. I think it's also fair to indicate that since the inception of the campaign period, President Hakainde Hichilema of the UPND has not been allowed to campaign freely. As you've rightly indicated, he has been blocked repeatedly to enter certain campaign jurisdictions, not just in Chipata, but recently up north in Imansa, Isoka, and Nakonde, and much more previously and recently on the Copperbelt province in Kitwe and Chingola. And in all incidences, gunshots, live gunshots have been fired, and of course tear gas to intimidate not just him, but also the citizens. And this is an attack on democracy. And it extends nothing beyond this. But you also might wish to note and know that President Hakainde Hichilema continues to be denied flying permits to be able to efficiently traverse the country during this campaign period. We have to negotiate flying permits, and sometimes flying permits are being cancelled at the last minute. And this is unprecedented. It's unheard of in Zambia's election history. And this is how desperate our colleagues in government have gotten at the moment. And we need to put a stop to it as a collective in the next few days.
Mr. Bwalia, have you engaged the Zambian government? Have you further engaged law enforcement as to why this has happened and what they will be doing in terms of intervention regarding the events that took place?
Yeah. So first and foremost, we want to recognize the difficult conditions under which our men and women in uniform, the police officers, continue to work under. We recognize that there have been blatant acts of overreaching and interference on the part of those in government, insofar as the constitutional mandate of the police men and women is concerned. So we recognize that. But also you have to understand that it is the people in government who are abusing state resources, including personnel, that's the police, in order to impede our campaigns and subvert democracy in Zambia. So it really is pointless for us to engage them for purposes of understanding why this is being done to the opposition, particularly our presidential candidate, because they are the ones behind it. When you try to engage police officers, they are not going to give you a credible explanation as to why they are impeding our campaigns, purely because they are also working under instructions and they are terrified for their jobs. Many of them have lost their jobs in the name and under the guise of the national interest, purely for doing their professional job. And this is the difficulty that we're facing at the moment.
Yeah. We also understand that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has been, detained quite several times since obviously vying and contesting as a presidential candidate. When we talk about, the citizens as well, innocent people who've been tear gassed, intimidated, it begs the question then, what does this then say or mean for democracy within the country of Zambia?
Look, democracy is clearly under attack in this country. We don't want, and we hate to have to.
Mr. Boile, are you still with me? Oh, we seem to be having some technical issues there with Mr. Anthony Boile, of course, the spokesperson, presidential spokesperson at that for the United Party for the National Development. Of course, we understand that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has been, of course, detained quite several times. Not only he, but several citizens have been tear gassed, some have been shot at who tried to welcome him. This, obviously, in a bid to deny him access to parts of Eastern Province in the SADC country, obviously, that posing a threat, according to Mr. Anthony Boile, to democracy within the city and the country.
Oh, very, very worrying. We'll see if we can't pick up that conversation again a little bit later. Such a shame to not get that last answer.